What is going on? Welcome to Mot Crypto. Malcolm, how's it going, man?
What's going on, man?
Not too
You know,
much, not too much. How you been?
I'm a little curious. That song and the intro, did you make that, or did somebody make that beat or something?
No, I did not make the beat. It was an option on the editor app that I use for videos. It was a music option to use, so I used it.
Oh, nice. Okay, very good. I was just
Yeah,
curious. I'm like, we should put our own music up on there sometime. Got some really
yeah, we
decent
should.
gems.
We have talked about that before, and you are pretty talented when it comes to making instrumentals and beats. So, yeah, that would be awesome, man.
All right, perfect. We can discuss that offline then. So going
Sure.
further, you said we're having a guest, right?
Yep. I'm not sure where he's at right now. I know I was on the Twitter and we were both on the same Twitter spaces, and it's a crypto OG. You know, he's pretty big into altcoins, pretty big into meme coins specifically, and I found him through the Hex community, and he's
Okay.
going to be talking about a really cool cryptocurrency that has come out. It's been out for probably about a month now, and it
Oh,
has done very well, and it is pretty unique, pretty unique. So, like I said, he should be coming on here soon. We agreed to change the time to 5 o'clock. I'm just checking my DMs again to confirm. So yeah, 5 o'clock my time. So yeah, now we're just waiting on him to pop in, but that's all good. So Malcolm, I have something I want to share with you and other people who may be invested in Hex, because this is a very, very, very cool thing. So, for all the Hex stakers, you can claim free tokens right now. You have to pay gas, but they're free. And this token is called Hedron. Basically, what it does is it allows you to encapsulate your Hex, wrap your Hex stakes, and you can then sell those Hex stakes. Or you could borrow against your Hex stake. So you don't have to wait 15 years if you have a 15-year stake to actually access the funds in your Hex stake. Now, in exchange for you claiming, so basically you get a new token. That new token is Hedron. And everybody and it goes by B shares, which is really cool because those of us who have been in crypto, been in Hex since, it's early days. I'm not saying I've been in there since the early days, but since lower pricing, it was a lot easier to get T shares. But now as the time goes on, more people buy, it gets harder and harder to get a T share. It costs more money. And so they base it on B shares, which is really cool because it allows people who are getting in now to still access this through their B shares. So Malcolm, you have to check that out, man. I've been sending it in the Telegram. You get free money. I think I've spent a couple $100 collecting my free. It's not really free, but the coins, and I've more than doubled. Like, it's insane, quickly like that. Like, it's yeah. There have been people who 10 grand after spending $800 in gas fees, and they get 10 grand in this free token. So this isn't the
so
first time it's happened.
you just buy this token,
You don't buy it, you claim
and
it.
then you claim it, and then you just start benefiting off of it in the simplest way that I can understand that.
Hopefully you benefit from it, right? Because you want to hope the price goes up.
So what is this money
But
that
it's
you're
free
saying that
money.
people are making?
I'm sorry?
What is the money? What is this money that you're saying that people are making? Like 10 grand
Because they're getting
from?
a free coin. They're
Okay,
getting this coin that's free to them. They don't have to pay for the coin. They just have to
gotcha.
pay the gas fee to confirm the transaction. And
Interesting.
so that coin is actually worth money. So rather than going on the market and buying the coin and paying the gas with buying the coin, you can just claim your free tokens and pay the gas fees to redeem them. And it's
Gotcha.
based off of your B shares. And yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how much Hex you have, how much stakes you have, all that stuff. But, you probably looking at, I would say anywhere from 1 million to 100 million tokens of this, and it's really exciting. I think it's going to be a huge project. And if you claim right now, you're going to get that. If you remember, you're going to get that duplicate on Pulse Chain because it's on the Ethereum.
Aren't you going to get it regardless? Oh, wait, you're just talking about in reference to this particular asset.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. So you'll get a duplicate of Hex and a duplicate of this?
Yes.
Fascinating. I actually just might have to.
You should. It's free. I
on.
mean, you just got to pay the gas, and why not? I mean, this has happened before, and I think that Hex stakers are going to get airdrops based on their T shares moving forward, and their B shares, and then eventually down the road M shares, and then 1,000 shares, stuff like that. What are your staker? But this has happened before in the Hex community, like Uniswap. I think the Hex users who were in at the very early days actually had a airdrop of Uniswap tokens. So that was really cool. There's a lot of free money in crypto. People say there isn't free money. There's free money everywhere in crypto.
Well, I mean, there's free money anywhere. People just got to know how to take it, find it.
This is true. This is true. So yeah, man, what's going on with you? What's going on with you? Anything?
I've been in the works of scheduling quite a few interviews that I have. I'm going to be going on a podcast. My name is Mariana, and her podcast is Commitment to Grow. We're going to talk about some great things there. I scheduled it for this Sunday, but I actually rescheduled it for next Sunday because I'm exhausted. Because I've just been extremely consumed with like work, and then on top of work, being anxious about these day trades. You saw the loss porn that I put in there.
Yeah, man.
Telegram group chat.
And you guys weren't you guys just bragging that ticker up too?
Well, I mean, it's only been what a week. It's only Thursday, so you got to give it time. I mean, the price of crude oil, it dropped yesterday, or it dropped today, but it's inevitably going to go back up, and you know what's going to happen. We're going to start drilling our own crude oil. So by doing that, we're waking up these domestic oil producing companies. And the particular asset that I'm invested in, I only showed it simply because I'm first and foremost not selling. And then secondly, there is going to be, I believe personally, there's going to be another uptrend movement in the next coming month. So I'll just hold it. Why not? I already, bought it. So, but other than that though, what else? I have another podcast and I have a show going on after this on the Wisdom app. If you guys are familiar with Wisdom, hop on Wisdom. Yes. I have something else to tell you. Now, you know what? Never mind, actually. Never mind. I'll tell you offline.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a very interesting study that I conducted under a few days. So it's in relation to wisdom. But
nice.
Anywho, other than that, I'm here now, so that's what matters.
Right.
Do you want me to? I guess since we're still waiting on our guests, I can talk about the market briefly. But there's not really much else going on as far as like movement goes. Like all three of the major indices have been in a consistent downtrend, and this has been consistent since January of this year. So they haven't even gotten, all three of the indices haven't gotten back to their yearly high, because the highest point for them for this year was I believe on the 2nd of January for the indices. And then since then, it's just been trending down. It's been going down, dude. Okay. People are scared. I'm one of them.
Man. You look at those gas prices, a lot of people, like, think about it. Our generation, well, I think you're a little bit younger than me, but our generations, we haven't seen gas prices this high since we've started driving. And so it is kind of like a shock to us. I know I was talking, to people, I was talking to numerous people about this. It isn't anything new. If you go back to the 70s, gas prices have been ridiculous before. And even back in 2008, gas prices have been high. But for the younger generations who are just now driving, just now paying their own, for their own way for gas and stuff like that, they're paying a lot more at the pump.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem, and it will take quite some time before we can actually tackle this, because they cut about us banning Russia, or perhaps doing sanctions on Russia's oils. has cost us 10% of our oil production in the US as far as that's concerned. Now, it's not detrimental, but that means that we will have to rely on resources from other adversaries. And it doesn't seem as though, given the current political climate, that no one's willing to help this guy. I feel bad for Biden. Um, with that being said, that means that these domestic oil companies are going to profit a decent amount. I would say about third quarter earnings by this year, though. You'll see a little bit of change. But other than that, of course, people are still concerned over the Russia-Ukraine crisis. Of course, it's consuming not only global markets, but also domestic markets as well. So that's a lot of faith vested in the market right there. In addition to that, you have the Federal Reserve implementing one of their rate hikes this month. Presumably, I believe Jerome Powell will have a meeting next week. So we'll see exactly what happens as far as that's concerned. So a lot of investors are waiting on that. There was good consumer data that came out that indicated that job growth is well, it's slightly better. I'll say that. That's my personal view. It's slightly better. And other than that, though, that basically is what's going on in the market. I mean, every time I come on this show for the past 2 months, it's been the consistent stories and over. I'll read like the MOT updates, and I'm just thinking like, this is terrible.
Right. Well, I mean, it's still a good time to be in crypto, So like the traditional markets are not doing so well. I mean, I think there's certain sectors that are doing okay. I've been hearing nickel
commodities.
Yeah, like nickel I think has been getting a lot of attention lately. Gold has gone up. Silver, I'm not sure. But yeah, commodities.
Silver's been pretty stagnant. What are you saying?
Well, I was just saying commodities, like you mentioned, it's just basically the commodities that are doing well, which we cannot not talk about that, dude. If you look at the price chart of wheat recently, it just exploded. Have you been seeing that? It's all over Twitter.
Yes. I was agreeing with you. Yes.
Yeah.
But given the nature of everything that's going on, though, I mean, it's still not enough to sustain the markets from turning the opposite direction. You have to look at the fact that you have several different parameters. That's an attribution to why the market is being dragged down. You have interest rates, of course, that was going to happen inevitably. Then, of course, you have inflation. In addition to the inflation, you're not only facing supply constraints, but now we're going to be facing quite a little bit of scarcity of labor and resources. So there's going to be a little bit of both problems going on there. In addition to that, you have factory workers that are not up to par anymore. And because of the mandates that caused tons of workers to lose their positions because of the vaccine mandates, they are no longer working for those companies. But now those companies are calling them back. They're saying, hey, John, I know I told you that you had to go, but, I was joking with you.
Right.
It's that bad. It's really that bad.
No, you're not joking. I mean, if you look at the medical field, a lot of nurses are getting called back now. And we got to be careful. We're going to call them jabs or pokes. Got to be careful on what we use here on the good old YouTube, because there's been a lot of heavy censorship lately. Donald Trump just did a podcast with a pretty big podcaster or podcasting group called Full Send. Got like 7-8 million views in the first hour, and then they removed it from YouTube. And then Richard Hart's, I'm sorry?
I said, oh, wow.
Yeah. And then Richard Hart's YouTube channel has just been deleted again. And so censorship's getting pretty rampant here. So it's not cool. But that's why you got to have backups. And I think that this is where places like Odyssey and maybe BitChute will begin to grow and become more popular, and other avenues as well. I mean, Wisdom is a good app. Excuse me. Wisdom, I actually don't have it on my phone anymore, but I remember when I discovered it, I was like, oh man, this is going to be a good place. I don't know. I just had a sense that it was going to grow really fast. And then I sent it out to the community, and I was like, hey, let's start doing podcasts on here. Malcolm, he took the torch. He's verified on Wisdom now, and he's doing really well there. And that's awesome. So there's just a bunch of other avenues. There's a bunch of other avenues that we have to start looking at. Being proactive. We can't be reactive, which is why we have channels everywhere I mean,
Mhm.
the issue that I have with like places like BitChute and Odyssey is they take forever to download, and sometimes they won't download the video. I never have that issue with YouTube. YouTube is always consistent. BitChute and Odyssey have not been. Maybe it'll be easier for us once we can actually merge the YouTube and the Odyssey channel together, because there is an option to do that on Odyssey, but you have to have like 500 subscribers and so many hours of listening before you can do that. So we got a little ways to go. We're working hard towards it.
Yeah,
That's what we're doing this space
we're
for.
making decent milestones. You know,
Yeah,
we're an emerging media company, so you know, there's tons of room to grow, tons of opportunity to expand. And you know, the great thing here is that I already have quite a few people that would definitely, you know what, this is a conversation for offline. But yeah,
yeah,
it's great. We're growing. We're really growing. So that's
for
beautiful.
sure. And when we talk about, and I think right now is a really good time to be talking about crypto, because most people aren't talking about crypto because we're heading towards a real bear market. And a lot of people like
Heading.
Malcolm, this is going to be your first time experiencing a crypto bear market. So, you're already kind of experiencing it with Hex, because Hex is down like 70, 80%. Although you have been very, very either astute or lucky in your price entries, because every time I think that we've talked, you've been able to kind of get in at the bottom of these
Yep.
dips, which is really fortunate.
And
So
guess what I did
you,
when I saw
what's
that
up?
10 cents? I was like,
You bought more?
buy the dip.
There
Okay,
you go, dude.
telling
There
you.
you go. Yeah, I actually have not been buying Hex. I have been spending my money on claiming these free coins for gas, and then the sacrifice phases really kind of ate up a big chunk of my disposable money. And then I've been just reinvesting here into MOT, into the other business that I've recently started, and just trying to get those things to grow and set off. But anyway, let's focus a little bit more on crypto. Um, there's like I was saying, this is a good time to get into the crypto game because it's the bear market. And those who pay attention during the bear market, learn about it in the bear market, will be able to get into some really good products and projects when the prices are very low and nobody else is in it or caring about it. Since I've been in the crypto game for a little while, I've seen a few cycles now. And what is consistent is this: bull run, everybody and their mother is interested in Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the other altcoins as well. Doge, Shiba, which let me tell you, most people now that get into crypto or know crypto, they buy Doge. They don't buy Bitcoin. They don't buy Ethereum. They buy Doge. Every noob I've spoken with regarding crypto, they buy Doge, which is why I think this is a good guest that we have coming on, and the token that we're going to be talking about. I don't want to talk about it yet. Those who are in the Telegram chat know what token I'm talking about. And this is why I'm really pumped about having this guest on to come on and
Look
talk
at
about
you,
this
man.
coin.
You're excited. This guy, I don't even know who you're talking about, but I'm
And
excited.
yeah, man. And so this is a good time to be talking about crypto, because a good time to be studying crypto. Because like I said, been in here a few cycles, bull run, everybody wants it. Bear market, nobody wants it.
So
Nobody's paying attention.
the biggest misconception that happens when people get involved into trading assets like crypto or fiat currency, like crypto or even assets on the stock market, is that they do not do the work to understand the
Yes.
foundation of what it is that they're buying. So people go into this kind of an opportunity knowing nothing, basically blind, and end up failing. The best
Mhm.
way you can succeed, if you're really adamant on seeing what true growth is to understand what a blockchain is, to understand the simple terms associated with crypto.
Right.
And then once you understand that, of course, and I'm not telling you to understand how to read ciphertext and all the other stuff in coding, unless you love to code. I have a friend that does mining. He's actually really proficient. He mines a coin. I forgot what he said he mines, but guys
Helium?
top guys top notch. Say again.
Is it helium?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, no, I don't know, but he mines something. That's all I know. With that being the case, though, just understand what it is that you're getting yourself into, because the last thing you want is to set yourself up for failure, virtually speaking, of
Right.
course. So that's
Right.
what I encourage people to do, because me getting into crypto has been very rewarding, as I can see. I've
Mhm.
seen the gains, and I only put like a few grand down, and I was like, snap.
Well, let me
And
ask you
then
this,
that's
Malcolm, because when we first started talking about making this channel, and you being our finance guy talking about traditional markets and such, let
yeah.
me ask you this: the gains that you've made in the stock market, how do they compare to the short time you've been in crypto with the gains you've made in crypto?
How do they compare, or how do they contrast?
You could say contrast.
Okay. I'm only simply saying that because to make big money, you kind of have to have big money in a sense, but not big,
Yeah.
big money. I'm not talking about big money. Like if you really want to invest or like trade, you kind of have to have a little bit more than $500 if you really want
True.
to see some great results. And the reason
So
I
where
say
have you
that
seen the
is simply
most?
because,
Sorry, I'm sorry.
well, as of right now, because I'm just not getting into crypto, I've still seen a vast majority of my gains on the market right now,
Okay.
because, once you have capital to play with, you can triple that capital in a matter of
Mhm.
days. So like until crypto, I mean, crypto's still good though. I mean, I'm making gains off of that,
Right.
so I don't doubt
Right.
that there's a different magnitude of gains. I think it honestly deals with how much you're investing in and how much you'll get back as a result, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you buy like the Squid Games coin, right?
Right. Well, there's a bunch of those kind of projects in there. But I guess maybe a better way to ask my question, where have you seen the fastest price appreciation? Where have you seen that in
Uh,
general? Doesn't
in
even have
general,
to be in
oh,
your own
gold,
portfolio.
gold,
That's the fastest price appreciation you've seen.
fastest price appreciation.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I made some money off of gold,
Okay.
trading it, of course, not physically holding it.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm asking is, where have you seen the fastest gains in the stock or in the crypto? Maybe not
Oh,
in your own
stock.
personal portfolio, but in general.
Well, I still have to say stock because I watch the markets every day. So
Fair enough. No, that's a good answer. I mean, I can appreciate that. I guess I was expecting a different answer, but I get entirely where you're coming from because you
yeah, I
do
mean,
pay more attention to the stock market,
I'm
and
always
so that
looking at
makes
freaking
sense.
charts and numbers every day.
Yeah, yeah. So that makes sense, man. So yeah, I mean,
Have you ever had the chance to trade a stock though, Luis? Like, have you ever like actually made a portfolio and actually put money into it and trade?
oh yeah,
Okay. And
oh yeah.
given that, like, have you ever, I don't know,
I
like
was
made decent gains?
successful in the stock market. I didn't make a lot of money, but I definitely made more money than I lost, and I would say, significant money for somebody in my financial situation in the stock market. And then I got into gold. I'll just tell you my story. So I got a Robinhood account, and I began looking for small cap projects because I knew that I'm a risk taker. So I knew that that's where most gains would be at: low market cap and emerging products.
Yeah, like penny stocks.
Yeah, but I wasn't looking at penny stocks. I was looking at things that cost a few bucks, 10, $20 maybe, but things that had a lot of potential for them, at least so I thought. And I picked up really quick that narratives are very important for companies, and market fit is really, really important for companies. And so I just began looking at future trends. Like, okay, so I was really big into a couple of hologram companies. I was really big into the Neo. I believe it's called Neo, the Chinese competitor to Tesla back when it was like $2, $3. So I mean, I got in on that stock early. I got a lot of these things early, and I rode them up a little ways. And then I ended up going into silver and gold because I thought silver was going to be the big play. What do you guys know about Helium Coin? I know someone mining it. Yeah, this right here, I don't know much about it, but yeah, I've heard people mining this coin too. You'd have to do your own research. I'm not a big fan of mining anything because a lot of times it's cheaper to buy the stuff. But anyway, uh, so after that, I got into silver because I thought silver was going to be the big play. And it was actually. I got into silver when it was like $10, $12, 10, $12. Bought a lot of silver, a lot of silver. And then I got into gold. And I actually lost money in gold. Gold's one of the biggest losers I've had. But with silver, I like tripled my money in less than 5 months. And so I took most of,
was this?
This was 2019, 2020.
Yeah, I can understand why I would appreciate it then. I was just curious. I was trying to draw a correlation as to why silver was
this was
booming at
during
that
the
time.
beginning of lockdowns.
I figured.
Yep. This is where my wife and I started working from home, all of that. And so got really big into silver, really big into gold. Got rid of all. I owned one Bitcoin. I'm just being completely transparent. I've already filed all this shit with the IRS, so I have nothing to worry about. I owned one Bitcoin at the time, and I traded that all in for gold, and I lost decent money in gold actually because it just kept going down. It didn't do what I thought it would do, and it still isn't doing what people expect it to do. You have Peter Schiff characters out there saying, "Oh, it's still a good hedge against inflation." I mean, look at it now; it's like $2,000, but it's like it isn't keeping up with inflation, so it isn't doing what people claim it to do. Anyway, so I then, once I discovered Hex and I understood it to the best of my abilities at the time, and honestly, there were two things that made me extremely bullish on this, and I mentioned them before. One, the fact that I would be able to earn yield during a bear market. So during the bear market, I'd earn yield, consistent yield in an immutable contract. That to me is very appealing because I was already looking for that in crypto, right? I got into Amber Finance. I got into a couple other decentralized financial yields, and I was trying to just not trade, not have to worry about finding the new coin, and just put my money somewhere and let it build like a savings account. And so I bounced from different platform to different platform, throwing little monies in there. But then I discovered Hex, and then the APY, right? The APY was a big thing, and it's immutable, consistent. And the other thing was the potential. I didn't know what they were called at the time, but I had realized it was possible when I was learning it, encapsulated stakes, wrap stakes, which we were talking about in the beginning with Hedron. So before I even knew what that was, I understood that there's a potential for that, which made me really bullish because I was like, it replaces the bond market. Hex replaces the bond market. It does what people want Bitcoin to do. It does that. It does it. Well, it doesn't.
All of cryptocurrency at this point is basically replacing the bond market if you want to be that broad.
Well, I was being specific actually because the encapsulated stakes actually do act like a bond. Anyway.
So you make interest off of these encapsulated stakes is what you're saying?
Well, I'll explain them in a second. So I just want to finish it. So then just to give you a better understanding, because I don't think you and I have ever even talked about my history. When we started talking about this, you heard that I railed against trading and I was big into Hex, big into Richard Hart ecosystem. And so I'm just kind of giving a background here and then we'll go into that. So, and then I went all in on Hex, sold everything, went all in on Hex. And then from there, I began to get into other projects like Pulse Chain, Sacrifice for Pulse X. But that was with other money that, was just none of it was taken from Hex. So yeah, that's where, I'm coming from. That's my background as far as this goes, just so you're aware. And, when I found Hex, I just realized there was no need to trade. I mean, I get it. Like, I appreciate the trading. I do, but I caution people against it. Very much so, especially those who are getting into it, because that's a good way to get wrecked. But if you know what you're doing, you can make decent money off of it. But the best strategy is always, hands down, the best strategy always is to hold is to hold a really good asset for a long period of time. Like Warren Buffett says, if you're not willing to hold a stock for 10 years, then don't buy it. Like, and he's one of the richest men in the world. So, yeah. So, yes, I have been in the stock market and I've been in crypto longer than I've been in the stock market. Um, and yeah, I bounced in and out of crypto in the stock market from 2016 into like the 2019, 2020. And then now I've just spending most of my time as far as investment goes, all of my time as far as investing goes in crypto. And then to answer your question, encapsulated stakes. So the idea with them is that somebody, let's say a big whale, let's say JP Morgan wants to come in and say, we want to create a 15-year stake. We want to invest $1 billion and stake it for 15 years. Well, what they can do is they can encapsulate the stake, so they wrap the stake and allow people to buy chunks of the stake at a discounted price. So let's say they have like 10,000 T shares or 100,000 T shares. Okay. They could then, in an encapsulated stake, sell off portions of those T shares to other individuals. And they then would own those T shares. And it will be at a discounted price essentially. So basically, you can acquire a lot more T shares if you're a smaller guy through encapsulated stakes. And it also, I don't know, I'll stop right there. But yeah, so that's in essence what a T share, what an encapsulated share is.
Gotcha. My environment's
It's all good.
little manic here. Today was, well, this soon was unexpected. So yeah, that does sound quite beneficial. And I definitely see a greater adoption of that happening. Actually, I'm willing to believe that there's inevitably going to be a greater adoption of new innovations when it comes to cryptocurrency. I'm honestly excited to see where this all heads. It's been around since and floated around since 2008. And since cryptocurrency's inception, it has been mocked at several times. It has been discouraged. It has also been a lot of fun. And the people that at one point used to discourage it and look down on crypto, they're like, well, maybe I should probably get into the game. So it's really interesting to see how people are making this a greater thing. It came from a brilliant minded individual that eventually made some great coding in a blockchain with a freaking computer. And then to say, you know what? This is a great idea. This is a great idea. So I just say hats off to the overall inception of cryptocurrency. It deserves its acknowledgement when it's there. In addition to the stock market as well, because now, as you can tell, I'm sure, I don't know if you've checked your portfolios recently, they allow central bank digital currencies, other fiat money for exchange on those centralized platforms. Isn't that something, right?
Yeah, this is something that I've been not that specific thing, but I have been talking about central bank digital currencies for a long time. Inevitable. I think most people are going to have to trade their crypto for a centralized digital bank currency in order to do general transactions. In the real marketplace, on the mainstream marketplace, I should say.
So my question now is, where's our guy?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. He said he'd be here in a little bit, so we'll we're still here, so
I understand. I just say that simply because I did not bring that much content to cover for today's video. I was ill prepared.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good,
Yeah.
dude. So I mean, like let's see here. So right now, as we've mentioned already, it's a really good time to learn about crypto. Those who prepare during the bear market will do well in the bull market. It's really, this is when you see the most gains. This is when you see the most gains for sure. Is when you get in the bear market. Like, so for instance, Hex has done a 10,000x. It has done a 10,000x in like 2.5 years. but it hasn't done a 10,000x from the beginning to an all-time high. It did a 10,000x from its lowest low to its highest high. And with that, you apply it to the rest of the crypto market. Most of your gains are made from the lowest lows. Most of the big numbers that you see are actually from the lowest lows and the highest highs, not from start to current. It's from lowest lows to newest highs. So that's something to keep in mind there, because it is a little deceiving when you hear a lot of these hex influencers talk about hex to the 10,000x, because there's no elaboration. It's just, well, it did a 10,000x. That's all that matters. But nobody says it's from the lowest low to the highest high. I didn't even know that. I thought it was from the beginning to where it is currently, or where it was at an all-time high. But that's an important thing to know, is that most of these gains that we talk about are actually from the lowest low to the highest highs. And the lowest lows occur during bear markets.
Well, of course, lowest lows. That's when you want it, and you can tell when it's at a low, its lowest low. If you read candlestick charts, you're obviously going to see a lot of sell pressure. You're going to see a lot of buy pressure, and that's how you know the candle formation will form a V, or it could reject again. There's several outcomes. I'm over here sparing trading stuff. Long story short, when you see that candlestick and it looks like there's a long line at the bottom of it, and then probably a good indicator. That's actually a really good indicator. It's a positive indicator that the buyers eventually won that bear market battle, and they decided to attack even harder. Essentially, is how I phrase it.
Right.
But ultimately, yeah, man, now's the time you really want to get into hacks. I mean, right now I'm looking at what is the price action on this bad boy? Open the wrong app, son of a gun.
Uh-oh. You opened up Pornhub or something, Malcolm?
Yeah, I did. Oh man, it's all over the place. Goodness gracious. All right, so the price action is at a 12 cents. I saw it at 10 cents the other day. I probably should have bought. Oh well. I'm still averaging down. That dollar cost averaging. I'll tell you what, man. As soon as that bad boy hit $1, forget about it. But yeah.
Explain that a little bit, okay? What is dollar cost averaging? Let's assume that we have some absolute noobs in here and they're just trying to learn how to do these things. What is dollar cost averaging?
Yeah. All right. So dollar cost averaging is, let's say you have stock ABC. You buy one share of stock ABC for $10 a share. Now you buy that stock, and after you buy it, it goes down, let's say $9. You've lost $1 essentially, but you still want to continue to hold money into that asset. So you buy another stock, or that exact same stock, just another share. And now your average goes down, because if you buy in at a certain price range, it will reflect, your portfolio will reflect what it is that you're currently holding it at, as far as that price was, what you bought it at. So obviously it will reflect going downwards. If that stock continues to trend down, you're averaging how much you're putting into it down. So get that number down essentially. In certain instances, depending on how many shares you have, you might have to put a little more buying power to average down, because your current shares are already so heavily weighted into what you bought it at when the price action was up there to versus where it's down there. So there's also another misconception when it comes to bag holding. For those noobs out there, that means that when you buy a stock at a certain price, let's say you bought here, that stock goes up, you make some money. That stock goes down, well, my friend, you're bag holding. And now you're waiting for price action to go up. But bag holding is not a bad thing. It's just society that gives it a really bad view, bad connotation. Bag holding is good if you believe in what it is that you bought in the first place. Whenever you see that what you bought obviously is not doing so well in the market, remind yourself why you bought it in the first place, and tell yourself that you didn't. I convinced myself. Here's how I do it. I lie to myself. I'm like, you know what? I didn't need that money anyways. So now I trade with money that I'm willing to lose, as opposed to throwing all my money into one egg into a basket. But I learned my valuable lessons. But other than that, though, yeah, just average down, which is the premise of this particular discussion. It's just averaging down. And the misconception with bag holding, if you believe in what you have, obviously it'll go back up. What goes down must come back up. It's just that's some science right there. Well, well, okay. What goes down must
Squid Game. You
come back up.
Squid Game many a times.
this dude. Okay, with assets that perform within their right fundamentals, and of course have growth potential, then yes, what goes down will come back up. But if you're buying into something that, of course, is a scam, well, you will probably not get anything back. Sorry, you better get it while it's up. And I don't
Yeah,
know how long it was up for that long. Like when it shut up, how long was it at that price action before it just decided to just
I have no clue, but it wasn't long. It
it
wasn't
wasn't
long. I
long?
don't think the coin was out for a month.
I remember there was a glitch with I believe what asset was it that I bought? But I think it was Shiba or something like that. That bad boy went up, I think, what, a few thousand, and I was like a trillionaire for a second, and I felt great. I tried to withdraw, but it was too fast. My portfolio refreshed, and it was like there was nothing there in the first place. I was like, oh,
Yeah, they
it's a
probably didn't
glitch.
have the liquidity to cash you out either.
No, I mean that is liquidity essentially. What it is that you made off of it, so you could easily sell
No,
that
I'm
asset.
talking about the money that was available for you to withdraw. So, if that coin went down so fast or that asset went down so fast, the liquidity probably wasn't there to cash you out your significant chunk.
Yeah, maybe perhaps. You're talking about liquidity as far as the shares going into
What
that
you can
particular asset.
actually take out,
Oh, what
what
you
you
can
can
actually take
actually make liquid. Yes, that's what I
out.
mean.
Okay. Yeah, because that price action would move so fast that the robots would freak out
Yeah,
as far
and
as the stock market,
you would
those
just dump
bots.
the market too if you if you cashed out at that time, probably.
It already jumped.
Yeah.
So
So
that's that, and that's why if you see a stock that looks like the chart of Squid Game, stay away from that, please, for the love of all things divine and holy. Those
right.
the charts that look like this and don't look like this, that's a problem. That's not normal. Okay, just thought I'd
Right. You want to
preface
see
with.
growth over a period of time. You just don't want to see an instant shot up. And that's another thing to really know when you're getting into crypto. I don't know how it works for stocks because I've never been around at the beginning of a stock. I mean, I guess Coinbase had their IPO.
You said you've never
Anyway,
been around in the beginning of what?
IPO.
Oh,
But I corrected myself. Coinbase. I saw the Coinbase IPO. But
okay.
anyway, with like crypto, you typically don't want to get into projects the first day they launch, the second day they launch. You want to wait until it has its big correction. For instance, Hex. I think not long after it first launched, it dropped like 80, 90%. And so the people who bought in initially at the very beginning were down 90% early on in the coin. Those who waited for this massive dip made huge gains. But even the people who bought in at the very beginning still made huge gains if they remained in, like during this time, if they're still in. Anybody, anybody who got in at pretty much anywhere from now it's been like about 9 cents and down, but people are speculating that it's going to be going as low as 7 cents potentially, 6, 7 cents. So, but anyway, my whole point with that is that the earlier on you get in, it doesn't really matter how big the dips are after a certain amount of time, because, for instance, I have not during this whole dip, I have not lost money in Hex. I take that back. I did buy at like 20 or 30 cents, so I have lost money from there, but the majority of my bag, it's doing well.
Yeah, I'm gaining at this point the way I think about it now because hey, it's going even lower than what I initially bought it at, right? So like I already bought it at a low point, and if it continues to go down, hey man, it's over. It's over.
Right, right. Yeah, man. So I'm looking very for. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing too. Pulse X, I guess, is done.
Is what?
Richard Pulse X is done, and
What
they're
do you mean by
going
done?
that it's functional, but you can't use it yet because Pulse Chain needs to be released. But as far as what Pulse X is, that is finished, per Richard Hart, the founder of Pulse X. He said this the other day during his live stream, and then we found out that in about 2 weeks, Pulse Chain 2.5 will be coming out. So testnet 2.5 rather will be coming out. So that's pretty cool. We're making progress. You can look on Twitter. There's a Twitter account that I follow to keep up to date with the Pulse Chain news. Give me 1 second. I'll give them a shout out. It is Pulse. There it is. So I'll give them a screen share too. So if you guys want to check them out, stay up to date, because this isn't Richard Hart. This is somebody in the community. But if you are not able to watch the live streams or keep up to date everything going on in Pulse Chain, this is a good place to go to. This is where I like to go. Right here. I follow them. Good resource for Pulse Chain stuff. But anyway, our guest is in, so let's bring him in. What is going on, man?
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going all right. Yourself?
Good. Is my mic everything good?
Oh yeah, my mic was muted. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Let me make sure my volume is kind of low on your guys' end. So how you guys doing today?
Doing well, man. Doing well. We were just covering some good information to follow if you want to stay up to date with some Pulse Chain stuff. So the Pulse Chain news and talk on Twitter is a good place to go to, I think. And just talking about what Richard Hart said in his latest live stream as far as PulseX being done and Pulse Chain testnet 2.5 coming out in like a week or so. So exciting stuff. Still waiting on Pulse Chain to drop, though. Ready for it to drop.
Aren't we all?
Right. These gas.
When Pulse Chain, like it's just
right.
You can see everybody is just antsy at this point. It's been what, 8 months? Heck, it's almost been a year since he's actually announced it or even talked about it. Right. So it does seem like a very, very long time, but patience comes, gains, and that has proven itself time and time in crypto. So as much as I'm impatient and really want this thing to come out, it's definitely, I think he's doing his part as far as making sure everything's perfect. And when it does come, I think everyone's going to be excited, and man, that thing's going to fly when it comes.
Oh, I can't agree more, man. Especially when 2 days ago, I started free claiming, or it's not really free, but claiming the Hedron. You've heard of the Hedron, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And the gas fees, man. I mean, they weren't so bad, but you're spending a couple to a few $100s. Yeah. And then you're just thinking about when Pulse Chain comes out, these transactions would have been pennies.
Correct.
And it just
fractions of pennies.
Right. So yeah, I'm anticipating it, man. I was a day one sacrificer for Pulse Chain. I didn't sacrifice very early on with PulseX, but sacrifice nonetheless. And you're actually a very controversial figure in the Richard Hart ecosystem. A lot of people either love you or hate you, and it's because you're not shy of other projects.
No,
and I respect that.
No, I wasn't before. I actually, when I came across Richard Hart in 2017, I wasn't back then. I was always dipping my hands in and out of coins. I understand why people follow the Richard Hart philosophy, but it doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
I always tell people this one thing when it comes to cryptocurrency. You tend to stick with what you want to, what made you gains is what people usually stick with long term. And they get in these clicks, and as long as they made life-changing money through that cryptocurrency, they will rep that cryptocurrency to the end. You see it with Dogecoin, you see it with XRP, you see it with Chainlink, you see it with Bitcoin, you see it with Ethereum. You're starting to see it with SHIB because it created a bunch of millionaires with SHIB. And you're seeing it with Hex. You're going to see it with Pulse Chain, and you're going to see it with PulseX. You're going to see it. Whatever that coin does that makes you money, you're going to rep it because it has a personal attachment to you. So I understand why people would see that with Hex, and I understand why and the story that was given to them. I just don't necessarily agree with it. So I love Hex for what it is. It's a good product. But I made my money elsewhere. I didn't make it with Hex. By choice, I put my money into Hex. And it's a lot of money, but that was by choice. I didn't get in early. I didn't get in on day one on Hex. I got in just over a penny. So people have hell of gains over me, and I come in and I put this money in the Hex, and they're like, "Oh, you're not a true Hexican." No, well, I mean, it's a free market,
right?
You know,
and you're public with your gains too on your Twitter. You have it pinned. How much you've made with everything. I mean, and Pulse Chain, you're predicting it's the next 5,000x, but everything else there is it's provable, and so that's awesome, man. Like, and there's another project, which is why I brought you on here, because I wanted to talk to you about this one specifically. I haven't got in on this, by the way. Disclaimer: I own none of this token that we're about to mention. I am very intrigued by it, though. I was in the Twitter Spaces for it. A lot of verified accounts, a lot of very, very popular people in there. So the next coin that you think is going to be the next Shiba Inu is Marshall Rogan Inu. So explain that to us a little bit. What is that coin? What's it all about?
So Marshall Rogan Inu, I probably got in on about day 3 or 4 at a $1 million market cap. And what it is a coin that supports UFC fighters. And actually, it's just not down to UFC. It's Bellator. And from the talks of it, they wouldn't even mind getting into the boxing category. So what they're doing is every single time you see a UFC fighter on TV, you think and assume that they're making big money. You see Conor McGregor just throwing dollar bills all over the place, like living the lavish life. You see Colby Covington on the last UFC 272. He's the king of Miami. He's got the glasses, the Gucci glasses. He's playing his persona, white suit. Everything looks like, man, these guys are superstars. If you're not on the main card, you're not making nothing. Almost pennies. So where Marshall Rogan came into play is, okay, they made a meme out of it. So it takes the meme coins section of it. So you got Joe Rogan's dog, who is Marshall, and Joe Rogan, who is actually a big fan of the UFC. And then you have the UFC's fighters that actually I don't want to say need, that's not a very good thing, but they deserve more. These fighters get paid $10,000 a fight on average. So if you win, you get $10,000. If you win, you get $10,000. And for showing up, you get $10,000. They got to pay trainers. They got to pay for their gym memberships. They got to pay for traveling, health insurance, all that stuff. None of that's covered by the UFC at all. So where Marshall Rogan Inu came into play, they said, okay, so we're going to apply a tax to all buys and sells. And that's going to go into what we call a marketing wallet. This marketing wallet's all on chain. You can verify all this stuff. They've got millions in this marketing wallet now. So now they can pay these fighters and double their money with no questions asked. So a lot of times it's $10,000. They'll give you $10,000. You just doubled your salary just by having this cryptocurrency called Marshall Rogan Inu and a bunch of fans of the UFC, and they just give them the money. No questions asked. Now, you double the purse if they mention you on TV. Now you got marketing. So now you tripled your purse. So that is life-changing for a lot of UFC fighters because they were just making, if they lost, they were just making $10,000. And if you think these guys are fighting every week, that's not true. You know, they might get 4, 5, 6 fights a year if they're lucky. And then they've got to pay out And, a lot of these people, some of these guys don't have cars. Some of these guys don't have, are living with a bunch of other people just to make ends meet to try to get on that main card. So that is a perfect scenario of real life getting connected with crypto. Now, there's been situations where there were fighters that were hurt. So Ian Heineck is a UFC fighter, where what they did is they created he needed a surgery for stem cell treatment. They paid for it. No questions asked. He's injured. Wow. He's not even fighting right now. They just paid for it. And now he's getting it back into the groove a lot faster just for paying for it. There was a Fabio, can't come with the last name, but Fabio, he needed a car. They found out he didn't need a car. He didn't go to Marshall Rogan. They found out that he needed a car. So what they did was bought him a new car.
Wow, that's amazing.
So you're changing people's lives with the taxes that majority of meme coins give out now. And they say, where is it going to? Well, it's going to these fighters. And at the same time, they're teaching them how to create a wallet. They're teaching them how to send, how to receive this Ethereum that they're getting, how to put it into their bank account. So they're helping them set up with Coinbase accounts and things like that. Like it's ultra bullish to me because it's doing something completely different in the crypto space that's really usually all about me.
Right. So basically it's setting up this universal safety net for UFC fighters, if I understand this correctly.
Yep, pretty much. And as long as the coin keeps going, there's a marketing wallet that's going to consistently grow all the time. If the price dumps, the marketing wallet gets bigger. If the price pumps, the marketing wallet gets bigger.
So how does it get bigger? Oh, because you're assuming because when it dumps, there's going to be sellers.
Yeah, correct. There's a tax when you sell. There's a tax when you buy.
Gotcha. Now, when I heard about that, because I've mentioned you say that before, and it kind of, I'm not trying to FUD it by any means.
It's all out there, man. So you're fine.
Got my radar. I was like, oh man, that doesn't sound right. That sounds like some Safe Moon type of, proof of weak hands, like that kind of vibe I got from it. But you're saying it's not like something those coins are doing. This is completely different.
No. Well, here's the thing. It's all you can read it all on the Etherscan. So you take the address, you can scan it. The only downside to it is, how do we know that was going to that fighter?
Right.
Well, the fighter is going on TV and sprouting this out. Thank you, Marshall, for supporting the fighters. I doubt they're all doing that for free. They got some type of payment to do that.
Right.
But they didn't even have to do that. That's the thing. They don't have to shout it out. So what you're seeing is, if you go on the website, you'll see all their pictures and everyone that's been sponsored, but not every single one of those people have shouted out UFC. Thank you, Marshall or Morgan Inu on TV.
Right.
So it's a great marketing tool, right? I mean, you can't get any better marketing than that. Because that's real world, millions of people watching that every single time. But no, it's not Safe Moonish like. Safe Moon is a straight up, in my opinion, Ponzi. But in my opinion, also all crypto is a Ponzi. It's based off of buys and sells. How many people are willing to buy versus how many people are willing to sell. The only difference to this is there's a tax advantage added to it, and that tax is centralized. It's not decentralized because someone has to pull it out and give it to the fighters. So it's 100% centralized. But nothing has been out of the ordinary where you're like, oh, this guy is stealing money from the marketing wallet. Like all that stuff is verifiable, and people are watching those wallets like white on rice, including me. Like you have to.
Yeah, you get a lot of money into it.
Absolutely.
So why wouldn't you be watching it? Now, my concern with this one then is, and once again, I'm not trying to be a concern troll. I'm not trying
you're good, man.
I'm just really trying to pick your brain on this, because you're obviously very knowledgeable. You've done well in the crypto space, so there's something that you see in this coin that's truly valuable. But my other concern when it comes to the, geez, I'm sorry, dude, it totally fled my mind right now. It had to do with the with it being a safety net, the taxes. Man, why am I drawing a blank? This is the first time this has happened to me on stream.
It's not good, man.
So we'll switch gears a little bit then. So I won't concern troll right now. But there are big names in this project, like Chael Sonnings, huge UFC fighter, and I think he's actually publicly endorsed it. Like I think he has his own YouTube channel where he's talked about Marshall
on his Spotify too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's mentioned. He's got a whole segment on Spotify, and he has a with Chiro, the spokesman person. He has him on his Spotify show.
Wow, that's amazing.
So that shows that, you know, Chael has already done his research enough for him to believe what's going on and know that fighters are getting their lives changed, enough for him to put himself and back it with hundreds of thousands of followers on his behalf. Right. So that kind of gives it a little more, let's say, a realistic approach. I think when Chael got on is when everybody was like, oh, this thing is real. That was it. Like we were getting, everyone just thought, oh, they're just paying a bunch of fires. But when Chael got on that Spaces call, that everyone was just kind of like, even to myself, I was like, whoa. Like, it was just like, I did not see this coming. Like, this was straight out of left field. And there's been times where it's a community thing, and a lot of the community that knows fighters and knows different people have been reaching out to fighters. Hey, man, let's get you paid. You know, this is all you have to do. I tried reaching out to certain people. I won't say names because I'm still trying to reach out to them. But I actually come from the professional wrestling business. A lot of people don't know this. So I've got some connections, you know, with people that are and were in the WWE, currently now in the AEW. So if they decide to go that route, then I've got connections within that industry. But not even just that, it's a lot of those guys go into the UFC. So, you know, I've been trying to reach out. It's a community thing. And then we give them to the team, and the team makes the decision whether they want to go, you know, with the person or not. But as far as like Chael actually was just DMing him today, actually. So wow. But it's one of those things. It's when you create these relationships, when you see these relationships getting built. I mean, these are real people that does have real issues when it comes to money. And we take it for granted. I take it for granted even sometimes when you're just like, man, I've made all this money. You know, how do you give back? And that's what a lot of people are, you know, you see the dev, you see the spokespeople, you know, a lot of them have a good amount of money. How do we give back? And his way of doing that is like, man, I love the UFC. And I think this is a way we can do it. So it's a perfect cryptocurrency where, you know, we can make money, but at the same time, it's a true social coin because you're bringing in a different community into crypto that wasn't even there from the get-go. Right. So that's the storyline where when I saw it, I was like, this thing's gonna click. And it makes complete sense because you're not asking for anything back in return. It's just, here you go. So as far as, you know, some people brought up like SEC stuff and things like that.
That's what I was going to ask you. The security, because it seems like there's expectation from the centralized wallet to distribute those funds to the fighters and etc. But
the expectations part would necessarily be that we are expecting a return from the fighters. That's the thing. There's not even an expectation that they even shout us out. That's a whole different thing. Mm-hmm. So when you say, hey, $10,000 or $5,000 or whatever it is, this is for you. No expectations whatsoever. Just for you. Now here's another $10,000. There's another $10,000. If you decide you want to shout it out, you can shout it out. And that's where you can't say, well, now I'm expecting him to shout it out, so I'm expecting them to make a profit. But that's based on their decision. That's not based on the people that have the wallet's decision. That's their decision. If it happens, you get extra money. If not, we don't. So in my eyes, I don't see it as it being security. And the coin was when it came out, there was no expectations of profit because it's like, boom, here's all your coins, everyone go get them. So right. That's how it was released. So, I mean, I got it in just under $1 million market cap, and right now it's sitting at $81 million market cap. Mm-hmm. We had I would say a FUD-ish week. So a lot of FUD media came out this week with MMA, people that don't agree with it. Some previous fighters was FUDding. And we had a person on the Spaces call. The only reason why the Spaces call went extra long is because someone came on the Spaces call today and fudded the crap out of it.
I heard that. I was there for that. I was in the Spaces and I was listening to it.
Oh, so you were in it today?
Yeah.
So that's the main reason why. I mean, I was late because I was like, wow, and I hopped on and realized that was a planned FUD attack. As soon as that guy got on, dumping began. I usually have my chart up while it's happening, and I was like, here we go. This is a FUD attack. And I've seen it with Chainlink. I've seen it with I've seen it with Hex. I've seen it with every single coin that is going to do well. It's actually a stamp of approval. If you don't have a FUD attack, you didn't make it. So that's I saw it. I came on, I was like, this is it. And that thing dropped from 10 cents to 4 cents. So a 60% drop in a matter of minutes. And it got bought back up, and right now it's sitting at 8 cents. If we end this day at the candle, which closes at midnight for Dex tools, if that ends in anywhere from 8 cents to 10 cents, it's a bullish candle.
Right.
Just a FUD attack that just was incorrect. And I got on Spaces, I requested to speak, and I called it for what it was.
Yeah, I heard that. That's actually what I caught. I didn't hear the actual FUD, but I heard you step in. That's when I hopped back into the Spaces because I was in and out of them trying to figure out, just more information about the coin itself. And then I heard you hop in there. They're like, "Yep, B-Roots gets it."
I've seen it. I've seen it before, so it's going to freak a lot of people out. And the normal people who just don't recognize it freaks them out. The only thing is sometimes they can be for a young project like MRI, it can really grab a hold of it. Right. So if you don't get in front of it and just show you what it was, then they can go down. But we had some big names on there, and then the FUD attack happened. So it just almost like washed everything that just happened. Like Colby Covington, the 272 winner and champ is on there speaking, and then a FUD attack happens.
Right.
Like, how do you do a FUD attack when you got literally Colby Covington on there talking about it? Like, is it fake? Like, is he not a real person?
Maybe he just wanted everybody to dump so he can come in really quick.
Probably. Like, it wouldn't surprise me. So that's why I just, you play the cards for what it is. And you just let it be gone. I think it could have been handled a little bit better, but it's a Spaces live call of a project that's 5 weeks old. So
that's the other impressive thing, how fast the price appreciation is on the coin. And I will say, from being in the space, the Twitter Spaces today, and just looking at them on Twitter, really strong community. And that's like one of the most important things for what I've learned being in crypto. I've been in crypto since about 2016. And a project or a product is going to do somewhat well if the community is strong. Yeah. But what sets, I think, this token apart from what I've gathered is that there's actual real world connection. And that right there is going to amplify it. I think that's been a big thing for Hex, in my opinion. A lot of real world influence, not just on Twitter, on the internet, and Telegram, but actually in the real world. And the Marshall Edu token has a really strong community, and it's in real life.
Yeah, definitely. It's that's the big connection, because you're bringing something that people watch, and it's the number one growing sport in the world. So when you add that mixed with, now you can actually help them at the same time, they can represent the coin that you are in, and you're like the love for crypto. It's just a perfect scenario. It doesn't surprise me that the coin rose so fast. That's actually normal in meme coins. There's so much junk that comes out, but for every 10 junk ones, there's one real good one that will rise real fast to a 50 million, $100 million market cap. Now they'll also die real fast, just as fast. So that's the space. The meme coin space, they'll fall just as fast as they rose. And I try not to look at MRI as a meme coin. I look at it more as a social coin.
Right.
And without that social aspect, this coin just goes away. So without your Kobe's and your Brunsons, your Chales, this has a nice hype factor to it, but then it does a typical meme coin and dies. So you do need that extra social aspect to it. And that's the reason why I like to call it a social coin more than a meme coin, because it's now creating its own life form. And just as they spoke in the space is called today, they're doing more of utility. So if you hold a certain amount of coins, you actually get to do them. You get to participate in fight camps, and then you're going to host UFC pay-per-view event parties and seatings if you hold a certain amount of coins. So now you're bringing this whole social aspect even within the community with the fighters, and the fighters come to the parties and things like that. Like, now it's starting to make its own utility out of it.
Right.
And then it just becomes not just a, hey, pay for fighters, and then all of a sudden, next fighter. Oh, she shouts it out. Cool. But when you have this community of fighters with the community, and everyone's just like rooting them on, it just changes the game.
Well, it's interesting that you call it a social token, because there's been a few people who are saying that the next big trend in crypto are going to be social coins. And you started to see the beginning of that with NFTs, with projects like Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? With the hoodies, and then they have a goal to get a yacht and have parties on it and stuff like that, actually incorporate real life events with being a token holder. Then you also have people like Gary Vaynerchuk, who has also, I think, innovated. It's been very innovative in the NFT space with the VeeFriends and what he's doing with the restaurant. So I think that you started to see this trend in NFTs. And from what I'm gathering in our conversation here, Marshall Rogan Inu, MRI, is starting to do that with cryptocurrencies. It's starting to change how we perceive these currencies in the right way, too. Because if you think about it, the only reason why coins do well, as we mentioned, has to do with the community and speculation, obviously. Yeah. That's the biggest reason, is community. And it seems to me that this is sort of paving the way for crypto assets, cryptocurrencies to enter in that social token space.
Yeah, it's going to be the first of its kind. What I like to see is copycats. So even in the meme coin space, there's a lot of copycats doing it. Now they're doing it for baseball. They're doing it for Hollywood. They're doing it for the truckers. They're doing, like, you're starting to see, there's a bunch of copycats that can, hey, can I get a pump off of this? And then, it just dies down. But, the first mover advantage, crypto is all about the first mover advantage. And MRI is the first to really do it and take off with it. And then you got the copycats come out, and try to do it in a different sector, but they never really grasped on. But yeah, MRI is definitely taking it. It's just, can it get over the hump? Can it get over the FUD hump? And right now, it got so much mainstream media attention, not just regular crypto media attention. It's getting mainstream media attention. And the fact that it's getting mainstream media attention it's going to bring a lot of FUD. It's going to bring the big boys, and if someone doesn't agree with it, they're going to try to FUD it out. If it can get over the FUD and just show, hey, this is what we're doing, we're continuing what they're doing, and this is what the coin and the community is all about, I think this thing could be a difference maker. For sure.
It definitely sounds like it could be.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it just keeps it going and keeps the speculation to it, like who's next. We got the champions, but what's next? What can we do?
That's the other thing too that I think differentiates it from other cryptocurrencies is that a lot of cryptocurrencies, in order to get their hype, they'll fake these partnerships. Yeah. They'll just do it for marketing. Like, oh, we have like XRP, I think, is the king of that. Like,
yeah,
oh, we're partnering up with these banks and this bank, and we're replacing SWIFT, et cetera, et cetera. But none of that's actually happening behind the scenes.
Correct.
But with MRI, it's provable.
It's provable. It's verified. Watch it on TV, ESPN Plus every single week for the fight nights. They've got fighters lined up for tomorrow. Every week, these people are watching UFC Fight Night anyways. What better situation is to have them cheer out the coin that you're in?
Right.
Like it's just genius marketing, in my opinion. Just genius marketing.
For sure. So to end it here, if somebody's interested after watching the stream or the recording of it after this and buying MRI, it's not as easy as buying Bitcoin or Ethereum. Yeah. You have to know a little bit. So how does one buy it?
One buy it. I do have a video on my YouTube.
I'll link that.
So that's the easiest way to buy it. If you're familiar with Uniswap, it's going to be strictly Coinbase, Uniswap, and then once you get on Uniswap, you're going to need some Ethereum, and you're going to swap it for MRI. If you're truly noob, get your Ethereum from Coinbase, send it to your MetaMask wallet, and then just go on the Marshall Rogan Inu website, and then you just click on the buy coin, and then I'll get you situated also. And all that's in the video that you, like I said, you can link down below. That's going to be the best way to do it. And they're also getting on centralized exchanges. So I believe they're on four or five centralized exchanges right now. That's going to be growing. They're going to get on some bigger ones. They promised that in the Spacious call today. So I think that's all coming for it. And the more media recognition, I wouldn't be surprised. I would like to see crypto.com put it on crypto.com. And the reason why is crypto.com is a major sponsor in the UFC. So I'd be baffled if a UFC sponsored cryptocurrency company doesn't sponsor the other side. So they sponsor the UFC, but they do not sponsor the fighters. So it'd be smart on their behalf, and I feel that if the crypto.com and MRI were to partner,
that make a lot of sense.
It would only make sense to do that.
Right.
And then there is video, hasn't been released yet, but a lot of people have seen my picture with Dana White because we were at the UFC 272. That got a crazy amount of media coverage, not media coverage, but like Twitter coverage with that. And there is video footage of it all. So, so it doesn't look like everyone thinks he's like photoshopped in it. I was like, it's not photoshopped. We were there. And as soon as the editors and, they're doing editing the whole time because we did interviews with fighters. We've done a lot of stuff that day. And that was all shortly planned. That was like very last minute. And it just come to be that Dana White likes what we're doing.
That's awesome. So that's exciting.
The president has said it himself. He loves what we're doing. So you can't deny it. To me, that was just like another stamp of approval. Now, of course, that was a big buy the rumors, sell the news event. And, we're from 20 cents to now sitting at 8 cents. But it's like, where do you go from there? Do you keep pushing? Do you keep going? Or is that oh, that was fun and while it lasted, great meme coin time, on to the next one. Like, I don't think it's going to be that. I hope it's not, because there's too much good happening right now.
Yeah.
Not just for the cryptocurrency, but for other people. And that's what I care about the most is, hey, these guys are breaking out in tears. How thankful they are. There's one guy that went on UFC 271 and he cried. He said, "What are you going to do with the money?" So he won, and he said, "I would like to buy my mom a wheelchair."
Wow.
Like, that's real life stuff. Like,
yeah.
I don't have enough money to buy my wheelchair. I won this fight, so I want to buy her a wheelchair. And then someone like Marshall Rogan, he knew, steps in and say, "Oh, we'll buy the wheelchair. Keep the money." Or, "I want to donate to charity. Don't worry about that. Keep the money. We'll double what you want to give to charity." Like, just things like that. Like, everyone looks at cryptocurrency to be a scam, and it's not always a scam.
No, for sure.
So
it sounds like a wonderful brand is being built right now, and I've been hesitant to get in yet because I don't know enough about it. But after our conversation, I do feel more confident in my understanding, and I might just have to buy some. Let's see here. We got somebody here that says, "Of course, he loves what you're doing, and you're picking up the tab for his fighters. He should be paying better." Yeah, he's talking about Dana White, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. That is a very touchy subject. And I don't want to speak on behalf of Dana White, but absolutely, I do get what you're saying with that. He could be paying better. You know, and he's probably got the most of the money out of the big wigs of, you know, being the president. But at the same time, he also could be like, "You're making me look bad. Get out of here." True. So he's embracing it. It helps. It helps everybody. It helps us as a cryptocurrency company. It helps the fighters. It helps him, and it helps the brand of UFC. Mm-hmm. So we're bringing more eyes. There's people that wasn't even watching UFC, but now they got a reason to cheer for something. So you're bringing more eyes to the UFC, which gives more pay-per-view events, which makes more money to him. So I would be happy too if I was him.
Right. Well, that's another thing to touch on that really quick. As you already mentioned, it's the fastest growing sport right now.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who are into sport gambling. And this is something where they could, you know, because a lot of people look at cryptocurrency as gambling. Yeah. So, you know, one way you can market, it's like, hey, why don't you throw some money into this coin here? And you can actually potentially help out fighters because the tax that's being paid after, you know, you enter or you exit is going towards them. So you can make some money. They can make some money. Yeah. Here I am making a pitch for a coin I don't even own.
Well, I mean, it's all, in the end, crypto is all a storyline. I don't care what coin you're in. It's all a storyline. Hex is a storyline. Pulse Chain is a storyline. So is Ethereum. So is Bitcoin. So is MRI. It's whether or not, number one, you believe in that storyline. Do you support the storyline? Or are you just like, I don't care with the storyline. I just want to make money. So those are your three things. Right. I'm actually in the last two when it comes to MRI. I support the storyline, but I also want to make money. So I mean, that is
who doesn't? That's in crypto. I mean,
we're all here to make money. Right. So it's a win-win for everybody. I just like to see people. I do like seeing people getting helped along the way, and I've always been about that. If you follow me in Twitter long enough, you'll realize that actually is what I'm doing, even though some people disagree what I'm doing. I'm actually doing a lot of help, like even through my YouTube videos and things like that. You know, I brag about the amount of X's that I make. That brings people in.
Yep.
And then what happens is, you know, I get a lot of crap from Hexicans. You also see on my profile that I am 95% in Hex and Pulse Chain sacrifice and Pulse X sacrifice. So 95% of my money is actually in Richard Hart projects.
And I think you have
5%. Go ahead.
My bad. I was going to say, I think that you have one of the best understandings of Hex too. It's very simple, and it's treated as a savings account. Yep. Because that's essentially, it's a savings account that's going to make you mad games. That's the thing too.
Absolutely.
And you know that was one of the most enticing things for me when it comes to Hex, because when I first found Hex, I was actually looking for projects or places where I could park my money, my earnings, and just earn APY comfortably. But you were so you're so cautious because you hear about all these rug pulls, all these hacks. Fortunately, I've never been involved in those, so I've been fortunate in that regard. But then I found Hex, and I was like, this is it. And so that's just me saying, I think that you have one of the best ways of explaining what Hex is. Like, you have a video on what Hex is.
Yeah.
It's basically take your money that you've made, your profits, put it into Hex. That's your savings account. That I know it's not financial.
Not financial advice, but you use it as a savings account, because you do have that 5% can turn into hundreds of thousands, if not millions.
Right.
It has for me. It's done it for a lot of hexagons with MRI today, because when I made that video, that was pre-MRI. And that video was maybe a week ago, a week and a half. So all the hexagons that got on it were like, oh, I just want to play around with money. And I said, MRI is it. This is it. This is the one. A lot of them put their money in and did it and rode that wave up. Those guys are at, well, I mean, we went down, but at the top, we were at 120x. Right. 120x. So if you put $1,000 into it, you made $120,000 in 4 weeks. Right. You put an ETH in there, you made 300 grand. Just like that. Boom. Right now, if you put $1,000, it's worth $70,000 even after the drop. Mm-hmm. Imagine how many hex you could have made. Imagine how many more T-shares you could have made. I tell a lot of people I turn turtles into squids.
I've been seeing that too.
A lot of people don't understand what that means. But I've turned turtles into squids. Yeah. And like it can be done. You just have to do it smart. And you have to really discipline yourself not to go into that other 95% and say, all right, let's make it 75-25. We can do 50-50. That's when you start to lose the battle, because from the beginning, you're not playing it smart. You're making it emotional. And you can't make it emotional. Once you make it emotional, game's over. You're going to lose. You're going to lose. Because the meme coin market will 100% take your emotions. And it'll dump it right in front of you, and you'll have $0. And I've seen it multiple times. It's happened to me. But I don't, like I said, I don't invest that much in my portfolio in it. And my MRI portfolio, if it does another 5x from here, I mean, it's going to be sitting into my hex gains. Like it can really take a big chunk of my coins, and then you got to decide, what do you want to do with that? Obviously, when it gets to a certain point, I take a percentage out and I put it in the savings account. I take a percentage out, put it in the savings account. But I've yet to actually take profit on MRI yet.
I know that. I've been seeing your tweets. You're diamond handing that thing.
I'm not there yet. Obviously, I wish I would have done it before this FUD event. If I saw that coming, I would have took that profit. But there's not a reason for me to feel that it's over yet. But if it goes to a certain amount, yes, I would take profit. Just because you never want to lose.
Exactly.
I don't see that happening anytime soon, especially with the stamp of approval from Dana. That was kind of like, okay, we got something here. And I just hope it's not over, because I know the FUD is going to come. Like when when you see the picture with Dana and all that stuff, I just prepare for it. It's coming.
Yeah. Well, like you said, FUD is a good sign, though.
It is.
But I do understand where you're coming from, especially when the project's this early, this young.
Yeah.
It can be detrimental if we get too much FUD and not enough, support for the token. So
yeah, it's either make it or break it. It's either make it or break it just because of what it is.
Right.
You got people already like this, they make it so emotional. That's it. And I dump all my coins. And then, it's a ripple effect. You see it with X, like it's just a ripple effect of people just feel like down on a coin and then they just start selling. You know, it's a very young, immature market when it comes to it.
For sure.
You don't dump your 401k into cash when you see the market drop. And like, you know what I mean? So you don't touch it. You're just like, whatever. And people don't think that same way with crypto.
They don't. You know, I've thought for a while now that crypto, for those who have been in crypto and held on to coins for a while, they have a better, a stronger psychology than even people that are in the regular stock market. Because the regular stock, you know, the stock market, you drop 10, 20%, you're freaking out.
Yeah.
But in crypto, you drop 10, 20%, you're like, not that bad. You can still go up 100%, 200%. Or it can go down to 90, and then if you're in there, you know that you just diamond hand it, and it potentially goes back.
You got no choice.
Right, exactly. I mean, you're not at a loss if you don't sell, right? You don't lose if you don't sell. But you know, there's a lot of mini depressions, I would call them in crypto. Like your depressions in the market are a lot faster and harder, but then your pumps are ridiculous. Like Bitcoin still does an 85% drop, but it's still going to do a 2-3x every 3 years. That's about the trend now. And we see the same thing with Hex, right? Hex dropped like 90% when it first released the big dump, and right now it's almost down 80%, down 80% from its all-time high. But a lot of people aren't worried about it, and that's what I like about the Hex community so much, because so many people are staked for a long time that they have no choice. So you're just like, I gotta hold, and I gotta hope it does.
What are you gonna do? I mean, I'm not gonna nuke myself, so I was like, why not? So that's and over the time I've grown that through even meme coins. Like it'll drop. I mean, right now from the top, it was what, 12, 18 cents, 20 cents. So right now we're at 7 cents. So that's almost what, 70%, 65%. And I'm just like, you know, that's from all years of Bitcoin and just crypto in general. But I can see new people that get in the project is like, I bought at 15 cents and now we're down at 6 cents. And it goes fast. Meme coins go super fast because, like I said, it's very emotional driven. It'll pump just as hard, but it will dump twice as faster. So it's.
You know, I think that this is actually an important discussion that we're having with MRI, and it being a new evolution of these meme coins. Because what I've discovered, we've done some street interviews here at MOT, and just regular people ask in my everyday life outside of street interviews. Mostly everybody who's getting into crypto right now, I'm going to ask you this question: What do you think the first coin people invest in right now when they're just getting into crypto?
I would say 100% Dogecoin.
You're right on the money. Everybody knows Doge. Nobody really cares about Ethereum. Nobody really cares about Bitcoin. The new people, I'm going to say like the newest class of people coming into crypto, all care about Doge or Shiba Inu, but it's mostly Doge.
I know why. I know why, because it's easy.
Yeah.
It's not hard. You know, you try to explain Ethereum and people's minds are just like, like you try to explain Hex and you're like, huh? So that's why I just say it's a savings account for crypto. Like, boom, that's it. Like, that's all it needs to be. Savings account for crypto. You can make 38% APY on it. And if you can stake up to 15 years, as long as you want. If you make it that easy, it's easy to onboard people. Dogecoin, it's just a joke coin, and you can make money from it. Cool. Like, people really making money? Yeah. All right, sign me up. Like, that's all it is. There's nothing to explain. There's like, what does it do? Nothing. You just make money. It goes up, goes down. So like you take that and you got MRI. You get, it sponsors your favorite fighter. Who's your favorite fighter? Oh, Kobe Covington. Oh, did you know he's sponsored by MRI? You can cheer him on with MRI. What? Really? Yeah. Oh, sweet. Heck yeah. How do I sign me up? It's just very easy.
I think that's where crypto has a hard time with adoption. It's because, and I'm guilty of this. I'm very guilty of this. When I try to, because I want people to really understand what they're getting into. So like when people ask me, what is Bitcoin? I'll start, I'll try to be as simple as possible. Like, you're using computers to solve math problems to then mine your Bitcoin. But then they start at, then I just find that they ask these complicated questions that make them even more confused. But if you can just keep it simple, like that's where I have a hard time. I know I have a hard time with that because I want to explain it very well so that way they have a full understanding of it. But if you just,
we're technical. We're if we, especially you getting in 2016, I've been in since 2013. By nature, we're technical people. We want to really dig deep and understand what's going on. The average person is not like us. They, we're just like, we spit out the information. It's just like, huh? Like people are just like, they just can't really fathom it. I've just learned just to speak in the most basic terms. And then if they are interested, then I will show them and get them. But if they're not interested, like the best way to onboard them is to show them how much money you made. And the best way I've done is like I buy, like I've got a Maserati right now. I've got handbags and things like laptop bags. And where'd you get that from? Oh, crypto. Wait, right? You really make money? Yeah, absolutely. And now they're interested in it.
Yep.
They're willing to get that. They're willing to actually spend the time and learn that technical side of it. So that's actually happened to my brother. I kept telling him over and over, dude, get in crypto, get into crypto, get in crypto. I was like, paid my house off. What? No way. Yep, paid off. Don't have a bill. Buy a Maserati. All right, man. What'd you do? Show me how to sign up for this hex thing. All of a sudden, he's like all about hex. So now he's like buying hex, buying the chips. And he's like, this guy used to not say nothing about crypto. Now he's like, you see the new Richard Hart stream? I'm like, yeah, man, I saw it like yesterday. Like, come on, man. It's not my first rodeo. I've been in this for a while. I'm like watching them live. Like, I don't sit there and watch the recordings.
Right.
So
it is exciting to see people though get the bug because you remember when you first got it, when you were first understanding these projects, and you were like just all excited. And like for me, I knew nobody. The only people I know in real life that are in crypto are in crypto because I got them in crypto.
Yeah.
But so that's the other thing for me, when maybe it's a pride thing, but I'm like, guys, I didn't have anybody to teach me this stuff. Like, hop on YouTube. Nobody was sitting there walking me through how to download a MetaMask, what to do with my phrase.
Learn the hard way.
Exactly. Like, I've lost hundreds of dollars sending it to wrong addresses when I first got in. That's kind of the goal here with Mot Crypto is to kind of talk about these topics in a way that anybody could try to understand them. I mean, sometimes we do get technical, we can get a little more advanced, but we try to keep it very simple and not get too deep in the weeds, unless we get questions in there, which we have before on like Instagram and stuff. That's the whole purpose here, is to try to help people understand this. Because another thing I don't really like either is when people pay insane amount of money to be taught this stuff. It's like, you can if you just put in the time, like you can search around YouTube, search around on the internet and just read, watch. You can learn for free.
It's all out there.
It's out there for free.
It's all out there. I used to do a class. I used to charge $250 to $300.
Okay.
But it was about 4 or 5 hours of classes, and then literally the Q&A would go for hours. And I'll allow it to go for hours because people paid to pick my brains. And I used to call them secret sauce classes. And then I was like, you know what? Like at that point, I was just like, and everyone always kept asking me, when's the next class? When's the next class? When's the next class? Because it was such good information of what I presented. And I also presented some coins. So, they loved that how I did research. And everything that I'm putting on YouTube now was pretty much those secret sauce classes.
Gotcha.
So how to trade meme coins, how to look for certain meme coins. I'm about to make another one. It's going to be how to get out of the coin. That's the biggest emotional thing. They get in it and they don't know when to get out. So I'm going to go through things and, I look at Telegram. I look at the community. I look at the charts part of it. I look at FUD events, even such like this with MRI. Like there was a huge FUD event. How was it handled? Are people buying and taking it as an opportunity, or everyone's just like, it's over? So when I see that, I make a class. This is a perfect example or I'm gonna show where coins I've gotten out, and I was like, I'm out, I'm done, and where coins where I just stayed in and wrote it up even higher because I looked at it as a bullish FUD event. They call them bullish washouts in the technical term, where it gets rid of some of your whales who are just like on edge from the get-go, and then you get a candle like that, boom, drops down, and all of a sudden it gets eaten back up. Well, those whales or those big wallets were probably going to do that at a higher price that would actually really scare a community out in a dump. Because at the right time, say MRI goes to 50 cents and they dump their whole bag, that would affect the price more than a bullish washout. Because that person that's buying now at 6 and 7 cents will like a nice 10, 20, 50x on their money. But that person would have screwed that whole opportunity by selling that whole bag. So those bullish washouts can be, I'm not gonna say are because they're not all good, but they can be very good technical things that be done. So
right.
So yeah, I do have short of time. I actually have over my time, but
I got you.
It was great having me on there. I appreciate everything. I definitely check it. I checked out some of your channels. Good stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
definitely
that.
keep it up. If there's anything you want to talk about, feel free to have me on. I know our schedule's kind of wish-wash a little bit here. But I'm always willing and live. You see me on Jenkins' channel.
Yep.
Chad Jenkins. I'm always on there.
He's he's becoming a controversial figure next to anybody that goes outside of the line of.
Well, it's going to change.
Yes,
and I'm going to be very fast in my thought about this. It's going to change, and the reason for it is Pulse Chain is coming.
Yep.
When Pulse Chain comes, it has to change. It will change, and there's nothing you can do about it.
So last question for you. Is Marshall Inu going to be a part of the fork then?
Yes.
So people that are MRI holders will have duplicate sets once the fork comes.
Yep. And that also means that fighters can get double. So it's only good.
Very bullish.
Only good. It's only good. So you can't, there's no bad scenario to this, to MRI. But the more people that sees Pulse Chain are going to be the more people that are going to see Hex. It's only bullish for price. And guess what? When you got all these outsiders coming into your ecosystem, it's only going to get more diverse. You can't be like so closed-minded. The ecosystem is going to get more diverse. And basically, I'm preparing and showing you what it's going to be like. You just only hope that they come to the Hex side and put some of their money and lock it up in Hex. There's nothing wrong with that because it only pumps their bags. Who cares where you made their money from? Whether you made it from MRI, Dogecoin, or your 9-to-5 job, it does the exact same thing. You put the money.
I think you're going to see a huge shift. You're going to see a huge shift from people usually saving their money in Bitcoin. That's the idea now. They're going to start doing that with Hex. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Hex is definitely replacing Bitcoin. I think it's inevitable.
Actually, I agree. And it's just a matter of time. So just adopt all personalities and just embrace it in, welcome the people in. And the worst thing you can do in a community is be toxic.
100%.
So don't say you're bad on this, and that. It's controversial because it's fresh and it's new. But look at me, use me as a training dummy. Like I got thick skin, so you can call me all the names in the book, and I'm just gonna laugh at you with a nice little laugh emoji and keep doing what I'm doing. Like it's not gonna change anything. And I'm gonna continue pumping your bags in Hex. Yeah, I'm gonna continue pumping your bags in Hex and Pulse Chain. I've got a nice pretty penny in Pulse Chain. So I want both to succeed because I've got bags in both.
100%.
So you're not going to see me go anywhere because I'm staked up to 15 years. So you're going to see me for at least 15 years, buddy.
Same here, man. It's going to be a hell of a ride, I'm sure.
Yep, it will.
Where can people find you at, man? Where's your YouTube channel? What's your Twitter handle? All that stuff.
all IMB Roots. So you just type in IMB Roots. That's going to be me. Same thing with Twitter, IMB Roots, Moon King nickname, and I give myself as the Black Sheep Hexagon. So I add that to my Twitter profile because that's what I am. I'm not the typical hexagon. I'm the guy. I'm the sheep that kind of went off on a tangent in its own and found another way to make money. But I always find my way back into the herd when the time's there and the time's right. So,
well, man, it's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Same to you.
Very excited about the MRI project. Honestly, I'm thinking I might pick up some, especially
you're getting a heck of a discount. This is a good day to have this interview because if we had it when we planned it, you might have been paying high and be like, man, Moon King freaking got me down 20-30%. So you're buying on a good dip. It's almost like buying Hex at 10 cents. Like this is a good price because you just got a nice heck of a dip based off of that fun event. So there's no financial advice. Coming along with the ride. Come along with the ride. If you watch UFC, it makes it even more fun for them to chant your coin, man. It does. 100%. It really does.
I can imagine. So
but thank you for having me on. Pleasure. Thank you. If you want to do this again, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be about MRI. It could be anything. Definitely just invite me on. Just shoot me a DM and I'll gladly schedule time. We can talk some stuff, especially when Pulse Chain gets going, man.
Man, for sure.
Popping up there. So
there's going to be a lot to talk about there for sure.
Yeah.
So, but thanks, man. Once again, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks to everybody who tuned into the live. And we'll be back on Sunday for MOT Today. So, all right, guys, much love. Peace.
Thank you. Peace out.